us today to dedicate this bridge in honor of our three Medal of Honor recipients, Lowell Maxim from Carver, Patrick Reagan from Middleborough, and Wayne Caron from Middleborough. I'm told the town of Middleborough is the only town in the country to have two Medal of Honor recipients. If we could start today, please, by joining me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! Aim! Green light, out! Honor, out! Hooray, rest!
All right, thank you. Before we get started today, just a quick thank you to the Carver and Middleborough DPW, as well as the Carver, Middleborough, and police departments for helping us arrange the traffic on the road today. We have a number of dignitaries here with us today. I'm going to do my best to acknowledge everybody, and hopefully you won't be the one I miss. So if you are, I apologize in advance. First of all, we have Evan Makranakopoulos from the Department of Veteran Services. Evan, I hope I didn't get that too badly. Representative Susan Williams-Gifford. Representative Norm Orrell. From Mark Pacheco's office, Mary Weislick. We have a number of dignitaries from the town of Middleborough. Mr. Robert Lassard, who started this whole process. Steve Adelman, the Middleborough Veteran Services Officer. Paul Provencher, the former Middleborough Veteran Services Officer. The chairman of the Middleborough Board of Selectmen, Mark Germain. And retiring Middleborough Town Administrator, Bob Nunes. From Carver, I'm the chairman of the Select Board, Mark Townsend. We also have Select Board members John Cotter and Sarah Hewins. We have Town Administrator Robert Fennessy, Carver Police Chief Mark Dufely, and Carver Veteran Services Officer Mark Pinio. We will start this off this afternoon by asking Bob Lassard from Middleborough to come forward and speak about the two Middleborough Medal of Honor recipients.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a long 2-year wait for this.
Be seated.
All this started over 2 years ago when I was approached while going to the post office in Middleborough by Detail Officer David Makowitz, who was directing traffic at a downtown street project. Knowing I was the commander of the Simeon L. Nickerson American Legion post in Middleborough, he asked me why there was no bridge sign for Wayne Caron on any bridge in town. Wayne was a Medal of Honor casualty of the Vietnam War and had been a friend of Officer Makowitz. I told him I would check the post bridge list, and when I did, I saw that Officer Makowitz was correct. there was no bridge in Middleborough dedicated to Wayne Caron's honor, and as I checked the list, I realized that Middleborough's other Medal of Honor recipient, World War I Medal of Honor recipient Army Lieutenant Patrick J. Reagan, also lacked a bridge sign. Officer Makowicz then informed me that the bridge at Pine Street, right here, had finally been renovated and had no sign. At that point, I suggested that Middleborough should try and get a Medal of Honor bridge sign made for our two heroes. Shortly thereafter, I learned that Carver also had a Medal of Honor recipient, Civil War Corporal Lowell M. Maxim. And with assistance from the Carver's Director of Veteran Services Officer, Mark Pinio, here we are today, 2 years later, the Medal of Honor Bridge. There are several other dedicated Medal of Honor bridges in the United States, but I believe this is the only Medal of Honor bridge shared by two towns with Medal of Honor recipients from each town. The other named bridges are highway involved. Thanks to our state legislatures, Susan Cliff Gifford, Norman Orell, in handling this matter for us. And especially thanks to Norman Orell's manager of the office, Josh Newhall, who was just great answering my phone calls every couple of weeks. And I also like to thank former Middleborough Selectwoman Leilani Dalpy. She was wonderful in handling some of the times we were approaching the state trying to get things done. Now I'd like to read to you the language for Patrick Reagan, Lieutenant Reagan from World War I. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army. He was in 115th Infantry, the 29th Division. And in France in 1918. His citation reads, "While leading his platoon against a strong enemy machine gun nest, which was held up at the advance of two companies, Second Lieutenant Reagan divided his men into three groups, sending one group to either flank, and he himself attacking with an automatic rifle team from the front. Two of the team were killed outright, while Second Lieutenant Reagan and a third man was seriously wounded, the latter unable to advance. Although severely wounded, Second Lieutenant Reagan dashed with empty pistol into the machine gun nest, capturing 30 Austrian gunners and 4 machine guns. This gallant deed permitted the companies to advance, avoiding the terrific enemy fire. Despite his wounds, he continued to lead his platoon forward until ordered to the rear by his commanding officer." Imagine that, an empty gun and all that machine gun activity in front of him. It's amazing. Deservedly so, he got the Medal of Honor. Wayne Caron's citation reads, "The President of the United States, in the name of Congress, takes pride in presenting the Medal of Honor posthumously to Hospital Corpsman 3rd Class Wayne M. Caron, the United States Navy, for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty on 28 July 1968, while serving as a platoon corpsman with Company K, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Division, during combat operations against enemy forces in the Republic of Vietnam. While on a sweep through an open rice field in Quang Nam Province, Petty Officer Caron's unit started receiving enemy small arms fire. Upon seeing 2 Marine casualties fall, he immediately ran forward to render first aid, but found they were dead. At this time, the platoon was taken under intense small arms fire and automatic weapons fire, sustaining additional casualties. As he moved to the aid of his wounded comrades, Petty Officer Karen was hit in the arm by enemy fire. Although knocked to the ground, he regained his feet and continued to the injured Marines. He rendered medical assistance to the first Marine he reached, who was grievously wounded and undoubtedly was instrumental in saving a man's life. Petty Officer Karen then ran toward the second wounded Marine, but was again hit by enemy fire, this time in the leg. Nonetheless, he crawled the remaining distance and provided medical assistance for the severely wounded man. Petty Officer Karen continued to make his way to yet another injured comrade when he was again struck by enemy small arms fire. Courageously and with unbelievable determination, Petty Officer Karen continued his attempt to reach the third Marine until he was killed by an enemy rocket round. His inspiring valor, steadfast determination, and selfless dedication to duty in the face of extreme danger sustain and enhance the finest traditions of the United States Naval Service. He gallantly gave his life in the service of his country. Signed by Richard M. Nixon, President. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we continue, I'd also like to recognize Carver's Assistant Veteran Services Officer, Lisa Erickson. Sorry, I missed you earlier, Lisa. Next, I'm going to ask Mark Pinio, Carver's Veteran Services Officer, to come forward and speak about Carver's Medal of Honor recipient.
I'm going to just speak briefly about Mr. Maxim. A little bit of background. Lowell Mason Maxim was born on December 6, 1841 in Carver, Massachusetts. During the Civil War, he joined the Union Army at Taunton, Massachusetts, and was a corporal in Company F of the 7th Regiment, Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry. He was awarded the Medal of Honor for heroism at the Second Battle of Fredericksburg on May 3, 1863, during the 6th Corps seizure of Mary's Heights during the Chancellorsville campaign. Maxim carried the regimental colors and, despite severe wounds, planted it in the rebels' works. He is one of 8 recipients of the Medal of Honor to be a member of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company of Massachusetts. I'm going to read his citation. It also says, the President of the United States, in the name of Congress, takes pleasure in presenting the Medal of Honor to Maxim Lowell M., rank and organization, Corporal, 7th Infantry, Company F, 7th Military Infantry, place and date, Fredericksburg, Virginia, 3 May 1863. Birthplace, Carver, Mass. Date of issue of medal, 24 August 1896. Both of them, all these gentlemen you hear are the true heroes. Thank you for all coming.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pinio. Next, we have representing Senator Mark Pacheco's office, Mrs. Mary Wasley.
Good afternoon. Senator Pacheco was disappointed to learn he couldn't be here today in honor of this great dedication to those who fought with bravery and lost their lives for us. He asked that I extend his congratulations to all those who worked to put this together, including Bob Lassard, who also held our office, to get this done. And we're pleased that the communities were able to work together to be able to recognize Middleborough and Carver's local hometown sons, where their names will be engraved forever on this bridge. Again, congratulations to everyone coming together and make this happen.
Thank you. Representative Oral?
Thank you, Chairman Townsend. So much has been said about our heroes that we're here to honor with this bridge. And I know some of you may be thinking, why this bridge? And not only was it available as an unnamed bridge, but from a historic standpoint, this area, more or less general area known as the Fresh Meadows for both Middleborough and Carver, was the first place of settlement of the South Middleborough and the Carver, as I understand. I don't know my Carver history as well as Middleborough. But this is where Fresh Meadows existed on either shore of the Weebianic here. And the first settlers came because of the resource, the marsh grass that grew that they could feed their cattle before they could clear woods and make what we know of today. So this area is very important because then it continued on, this very neighborhood, as multiple mill sites, one of which was in Carver as also a furnace, taking the iron ore from the local ground, turning it into iron, and I have to imagine at one point helping arm our young country. And later on, as those veterans served to make America what it is today. And then because of those industry and the mills here, this roadway, as I understand it, and on to Beach Street in Middleborough, was the major thoroughfare to connect the industry here to New Bedford and Dartmouth and to the ocean in that direction in our young early history of our young country. So this is very important, this location. And I would feel remiss if we didn't explain a little bit of that for the future. When people come here and they see the sign and they know that we're honoring, that not only is it just to honor them, but this is also a big part of American history, a big part of our local history. So when Rep. Gifford contacted my office a few years ago at the start of this with this idea, we of course jumped on and said, absolutely, we want to help with this, knowing the importance of the area, the importance of the Medal of Honor winners. And it was an honor to work on the team behind her as she led the way and offer up whatever we could as a team and along with the senator. So and all of you here and MassDOT here especially, we want to thank them for, Mary Jo is in the back there, thank you for the support you gave the towns in making this happen. So congratulations, and we look forward to many years of remembering the importance of this bridge and the people we honor here today. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Oral. Representative Gifford?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so delighted that so many of you took some time out of your schedules to join us here today. Things were pretty crazy when it came to getting things pulled together for this. It had been a process of over 2 years, believe it or not, since the time that Bob Lassard came up with the idea for naming the bridge in honor of those 3 local heroes who gave their all for their country. And it's very fitting that they will forever be immortalized. I know it might sound trite, but in a bridge highway sign, Civil War Corporal Lowell Maxim, First World War Lieutenant Patrick Reagan, and Vietnam HC 3C Wayne Karen. This was kind of a crazy journey, just to let you know. When we first started this process, we believed that it was a state-owned bridge, which required legislation for the naming. And as we went through the process, and as a matter of fact, the legislation had actually gone through the hearing process and was in committee, that the chairwoman of the committee finally reached out and advised us that this indeed was a town-owned bridge for both Middleborough and Carver, and therefore did not require the legislation to move forward. At that point in time, I have to thank Josh, Rep. Oral's legislative aide. He contacted MassDOT about a sign, and they so graciously agreed to accommodate a sign and assist us with putting together the dedication ceremony. So I do want to say thank you very much, Mary Jo Perry, also to Jim Kirsten and Bill Travers from MassDOT, who worked very hard over the last couple of days to try to get this all pulled together. And also my colleague in the House, Norm Oral, and Senator Pacheco's office, and Mary Waslick, and of course, Bob Lassard, who was the driving force behind this momentous effort to get this done. And his persistence paid off, and we need more people like you, Bob. Where did you go? He's hiding over there. Okay. So I just want to thank everybody. Leilani Dalpy, who was the chairwoman of the Middleborough Board of Selectmen, or Select Board at the time, Mark Townsend, Carver Select Board, and the town administrators of both towns, Bob Nunes and Robert Fennessy, for all their help in getting things done, making sure that we had agreements on language and logistics and so forth. So it was a big team effort to get this pulled together, and it was I think very meaningful that we were able to get this done just on almost the eve of Veterans Day. So thank you all very much for coming. I appreciate it very much. I know our veterans and their families appreciate the recognition as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Gifford. Before we wrap up this afternoon, I just want to check, do either one of our town administrators want to say anything? Everybody good? Mr. Germain? Either one of my colleagues from Carver? Nope? Okay, well, I guess I just thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Then I think it's a tremendous honor to be able to name this bridge after these 3 Medal of Honor recipients, and it's especially appropriate at this time of year with Veterans Day just a few days away. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.